Hello and welcome to Britball with the Breens. We're now on to episode 4. So again, as normal, we'll go through this week's results and the fixtures for next week and see where we're standing. Now that we're kind of getting to the halfway point of some people's seasons, we'll see how everyone stacks up. So, an early game on the Saturday this week. Kept pretty quiet. I didn't even know it was on the Saturday until it was played. We had Tamworth Phoenix defeating the Sheffield Giants, but a bit of a modest scoreline, 22-12.
Yeah, a pretty close game by the looks of it, especially with Tamworth being at home as well. But then Sheffield's defence has been strong all year, and they've tend to keep games close. So a bit of a surprise how close it was, given what Tamworth have started to do again. But maybe that Sheffield defence just had a really strong day at the office as well.
Yeah, you're right. Sheffield have always shown a good defence this season. I expect a bit more out of Tamworth, but maybe just never had as much time with the ball as normal. Second game in the Prem North, Manchester Titans defeated the Wolves 14-0. Again, we actually thought this one would be quite close. Not much scoring from either teams. And obviously we knew the Wolves were missing their starting quarterback, but they got their defensive captain back, so giving up 14 points is a big difference from what they gave up last week. The Prem South, London Warriors blew away Kent, which is a bit of a surprise in terms of how Kent have fared against all the other teams this season, but it's the Warriors.
Yeah, and I think they obviously had, it's tough to say, a brief hiccup per se against the Aztecs with what was a lower score than most of us were expecting. So maybe that kind of lit a fire underneath them for this game, and they really went to town on Kent.
Yeah, I mean, they look strong just now. They've looked strong for a while, but that is a statement win right there. The London Blitz, they win 33-0 against Farnham Knights. Not really much of a surprise there, other than I thought it'd be higher.
Yeah, again, it's another case of we're looking at a Blitz score and going, why wasn't it more? It's hard to criticise a win at the end of the day, especially a shutout win as well. So, they got it under their belt and they move on to next week.
Yeah, so that's the Prem. Again, NFC North 1. Obviously, we won't talk too much about this, but Northumberland Vikings scraped by the Rams. Recruitment by the Rams seems to be on the up just now. Northumberland are tough in both offense and defense, so a close game there. And then ourselves managed to beat Gateshead by 36-6. Tough game.
Yeah, tough game, tough journey. Physical game right to the end as well.
Yeah, short week for both teams this week. So hopefully get ourselves back and ready for this weekend. The NFC 1 South, Nottingham Caesars destroyed the Doncaster Mustangs, which again, not much surprise there. Nottingham are middle of the pack. They put up loads of points against the lower teams, but they get destroyed by Sandwell. They struggle against Shropshire, so they always show a good offensive showing against a lesser defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret how much Doncaster have been struggling this year. Obviously, they'll be disappointed with the result again against a Nottingham team that they may be seen as an opportunity to, get a good contest out of. I think it looks like Doncaster's fate's probably already sealed. But as you say, Nottingham kind of just keeping themselves in that middle of the road, as they have done for the past couple of years.
Yeah, and with the new team opening up beside Doncaster, they kind of just need to see through the season, I think. SFC 1 Central, Oxford Saints 8, the Hertfordshire, Cheetahs 40. Now I thought this would be a win by 3 scores. It was actually by more. Hertfordshire looking really strong.
Yeah, it's another strong win. I'm sure Oxford will be disappointed with it, but Hertfordshire have kind of just bounded straight into Division 1 like they've got a purpose, and they're building a strong case. They're looking like a playoff team, but we'll find out just how good they are when they take on the Thrashers this weekend.
Yeah. So SFC 1 East, the Colchester Gladiators 2 and the Bury Saints 34. Now, we've said a couple of weeks ago this division's really tough. For the top teams, Colchester seem to be struggling a bit, but 34 points away from home is a good result for Bury.
Yeah, Bury are clearly still strong. They've showed that in previous games. They've just continued it on this weekend.
Yeah. So, on to NFC 2 South, which has left me raging again. Last week I thought that the Crewe Railroaders versus Humber Warhawks would be the game of the week. It turned out to be pretty much the game of the week. But the Humber Warhawks, after me saying that they might pull it off away from home, actually did pull it off, winning 20-13.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was much doubt that this game could be close. It had the potential to be. Humber have been slowly building themselves up every year. I still backed Crewe. I thought they would get it done, but Humber managed to get the win. It's a good win for them, especially on the road as well.
Yeah, good win there. The SFC 2 West, Cornish Sharks 10, Bristol Apache 23. Cornish Sharks, although they're struggling to win games, they seem to be putting a bit more of a game in against some of their competitors this year.
Yeah, and I think after you've seen some of the results last year, you had to worry about them going into this year. I'm sure Bristol maybe think they should have, done a bit better on the score front, but again, it's a win on the road against what is appearing to be a fairly tough Cornish defence, and I'm pretty sure they'll be pleased with it.
Yeah, I would say so. And then the game of the week, 12-0. 12-0 to Torbay. Now, you'll have to say this, Somerset Wyverns have obviously made a lot of improvements to look decent this year. You weren't too convinced with their first two wins, but now they've lost a really close one to Torbay. Maybe they do have a bit there.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely progress. I think that was obvious, even though the teams they've beaten. This was obviously going to be their big test. I think part of it will be the fact that they were at home. I actually expected Torbay to put up more points in this game, and but it's still a win. Somerset have clearly come a long way since last year.
Yeah.
Whether they can challenge a team to get in amongst the playoffs, I don't think so. But there's always that sort of third seed in the division. But I still think they'll miss out this year.
Yeah, I think South Wales are the team that everybody looks at in that division, and then Torbay next in line. The SFC 2 South, Bournemouth 51, Swindon 0.
Yeah, and boy did I get this one wrong. I actually thought this would be a decent game. I did tell you last week that I didn't put any stock into Swindon's game against Hastings, because we don't put stock into anyone's game against Hastings. I still thought this would be a decent contest, and Bournemouth swiftly proved me wrong. I think they'll look like they played with a lot of anger after those two near misses with the London Blitz B, and they've really put a stomping down on Swindon.
Yeah, I think, as I said last week, I think the Blitz B and Bournemouth are a cut above the rest at the moment. The SFC 2 East, apparently the kickoff was delayed in the first one, 12-minute quarters, but Maidstone Pumas still took a hefty defeat, 6-33 by the Essex Spartans.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a defeat that surprises us. It's still better than some of the defeats they suffered last year, maybe some signs of progress, but it's still not great, given that they've had quite a lot of time to obviously get better. And as far as I'm aware, that was their last home game of the year, so they played four straight at home.
Yeah,
and now it's just 4 road games to see out the season. You're 0-4. It's going to be a long end to the season for Maidstone, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. As I say, that they need to look at building this year, come back next year showing that improvement, and then we'll start to take them a bit more seriously. East Essex Sabres lost a tight one to Norwich, 12-6 to Norwich. Norwich looked way stronger last year.
Yeah, I mean, they had a big gap between their last game and this one. Don't know whether a bit of sort of I don't know, rust gathers between the games, or whether they're maybe now familiar opponents and the Sabres were quite prepared for what was coming. But they got the win. But looking at that scoreline, I think they're going to be worried going forward. They'll need to make improvements and bigger scorelines to get themselves in, probably up to the top of that division if that's where they're aiming.
Yeah. So just quickly here, shout out to the best percentage this week was to Humber. Humber only got 29% of the vote, but pulled off the win. I'm still not quite sure who's given percentages when Kent Exiles get 0 and Farnham get 3. I'm not quite sure where that's come from, but this week the picks seemed a lot more sensible. So that is the results. On to the fixtures for next week, and there are some absolute crackers. So in the Prem South, we have the Bristol Aztecs versus the London Olympians. Now, they've already played. Right, so Olympians blew them away. This time Bristol are at home. They've been struggling for an offence. They've had weeks off. Do you think they can come back and score some points against London?
Score points, perhaps. Win, I don't think so. London have obviously made real good leaps this year as well. They look strong. They had a real good contest with the Blitz. And at the moment, you'd expect the London Olympians to have one eye on sort of that reverse fixture with the Blitz as an opportunity to maybe squeeze in that second spot.
Yeah.
I think the Olympians are too strong, and I expect them to win.
Okay, I would expect the same. I think the London Olympians will win this one quite comfortably. Just look to see some improvement in Bristol. Farnham Knights versus London Warriors. Oh dear, this could get nasty, depending on what team the London Warriors put out.
Yeah, this could be a case of how much, and how much willingness there is from Farnham to even want to play this game right now. It could be ugly.
Yeah. The NFC 1 North, we won't say much about this. However, there were rumours out of Gateshead this week that they might not make the trip to East Kilbride. Don't know how true they are, but I expect the Pirates to come away with that one. The NFC 1 South, Shropshire versus Nottingham. Again, Nottingham put up some decent points last week. They're away from home. Shropshire's good defence. I think Shropshire will have too much for them there.
Yeah, and this is one of these games when I say I expect it to be maybe quite tight, and it's also one of those games where I expect I maybe prove wrong. Shropshire haven't kind of reached that level they were at last year, but I still fancy them to win this game against Nottingham, especially at home.
Yeah, I'd agree. Lancashire Wolverines versus Sandwell Steelers. Now, although I expect Sandwell to win this one, it'll be interesting to see if the Lancashire Wolverines can put up some points now that they've got a different OC.
Yeah, I mean, they put up a lot of points in their last game. The only flip side to that was it was against Doncaster. Yeah. Sandwell looks so strong in that division, and they're already kind of looking to be that top seed in that division going into the playoffs. I see nothing this weekend changing that, and Lancashire, it's a case of just how close can they keep the game and not let it get out of hand.
Yeah, I'd agree. The SFC 1 Central, now this is a cracker, this is a game of the week. However, I have a distinct feeling that there will be very little points scored. Reason for is Solent just don't give up many points. Hertfordshire are a really good team, but they're coming up against a really good, strong Solent team.
Yeah, they've got they've got the similar opponent in Sussex. Both teams managed to get a win. Solent with the last sort of couple of minutes with a special teams return. Hertfordshire winning by a score. This realistically is now the game for who finishes first in this division. Obviously they have the reverse fixture, of course, which can change that, but these two teams are your top teams in this division at the moment, and this realistically could decide who finishes first. Yeah,
for me, the only thing going for the team that I'm going to pick is home field advantage, so I'm going to go for Hertfordshire to win this one. The Portsmouth Dreadnoughts versus Berkshire Renegades. I think Portsmouth being at home, they're going to be too strong for Berkshire. Berkshire looked really good last season. For most part of it, have really struggled this season. I think Portsmouth's going to have too much for them.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Portsmouth already won on the road, so I'd fancy them to then get it done at home. I don't think there'll be too much in it, but I think it'll still be fairly comfortable for Portsmouth in the end.
Yeah. So SFC 1 East. Now here's an interesting one because we're split on this one.
Yeah.
Now, I think that the London Hornets versus the Cambridgeshire Cats will be an absolute cracker of a game. I think it'll be so close. I feel like the loss of Cambridgeshire's centre could be the defining part of this game. I think the London Hornets may just sneak this one.
Yeah, I kind of toiled with this one. I think both teams are obviously really strong. It's a difficult one to call. I went with the Cats on this one, but I would not be surprised to see this game total under 20 points.
Total under 20. Oof, that's a big call. I can see this one having a bit of a shootout, to be honest. But we will see. The NFC 1 North, Darlington Steam versus Inverclyde Goliaths reverse fixture. Obviously, Inverclyde at home beat them handily. I think it'll be a lot closer this time. Darlington at home, Inverclyde to make the trip down. Although I still think they'll have enough to beat them.
Yeah, home field advantage is always something in this. Both teams had a few weeks off to try and check the film and see what they've learned. I think given the difference in the scoreline between the two teams, I don't see that being overturned. Maybe a little bit closer this time round, but I still fancy Inverclyde to win.
Yeah, it'd be a big swing. The NFC 2 Central, Furness Phantoms versus Halton Spartans, only going one way. I think Halton will run away with this one by a lot.
Yeah, I'm currently quite worried for Furness. Halton look like a team possessed, and obviously they are off the back of recently beating Leeds, and then before that wiping the floor with Nottingham, who then went on to beat Furness. Obviously, it's not an exact science, but no. This game could get out of hand as well, and I'd expect a burger here.
Yeah, I mean Furness at home, but I don't think it's going to do them much favours in this case. NFC 2 Central, the second game, Leeds Bobcats versus Morecambe Bay Storm. As we've said, I think Leeds are going to be Halton's biggest challengers. They did score way more points to keep it closer than any other team, and that was away from home. This week they're at home. I can see them putting up 30, 40 points against Morecambe Bay.
Yeah, I mean, these two have met, and I think it was a closer game than we expected, but at that point we didn't know what to think of Leeds. I think at this point of the season, given how other results have gone, I think Leeds will really put up a big win this weekend.
Yeah, I'd agree. NFC 2 South, here's the big one in this division. Birmingham Bulls versus Staffordshire Surge. Now this, historically, is always a very low-scoring affair.
Yeah, it's a defensive slugfest, and there's been absolutely nothing this season to suggest that it will be anything different. Two teams with very strong defences. Staffordshire obviously had that loss to Lincolnshire, which is be disappointing for them. They split the series last year. I don't see that being the case this year. I think the Bulls will win.
Yeah, I actually think the Bulls will win this one as well. I think Bulls recruited a few more O-linemen on the off-season. Their defence was already strong, so it may be a case that they can actually score more points this time. The SFC2 West, South Wales Warriors versus Somerset Wyverns. Now, I can't see this going any other way than South Wales Warriors win anyway. They look way stronger than anybody in this division, and after Somerset losing at home to Torbay to be away to the Wales Warriors the next week, bit of a tough one.
Yeah, and as I say, Somerset have obviously made progress, but it's not going to be enough. South Wales will win this comfortably.
Yeah. SFC2 West, the second game though, Worcester Black Knights versus the Cornish Sharks. Now, the Cornish Sharks, we've said, have made some improvements, but they're away from home. I still think they're going to have enough to win this one. I think if their defence has improved, I think they're going to the Black Knights are going to struggle to put points on them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously last year where the Black Knights ended up, you would have normally went straight to the Black Knights on this one. And I'm going to stick by them. stuck by them in my selections. I think they'll still be able to get this win, but it's going to be a lot closer. I think this is the kind of game that's going to be potentially a one score.
Okay. The SFC2 South, Swindon Storm versus Jurassic Coast Raptors. Now, we've not seen the Raptors in a few weeks. However, they took a bit of a pacing earlier in the season. So, Swindon Storm, off the back of a huge loss, do you think this is going to be a tight game?
I don't think it's going to be a tight game. I still fancy Swindon to take the win this weekend. They kind of look like that middle of the road team in that division this year. It's always hard coming off a big defeat like that. But how they respond is obviously key, and especially being at home as well.
Yeah, it'll be a big one to see how they respond to that loss. And then, last but not least, in the SFC2 East, you got the Ipswich Cardinals versus the Norwich Devils. Now, I normally would have picked the Norwich Devils here. However, with their struggles so far this season, and with Ipswich already beating the East Kent Mavericks, I have picked Ipswich this week.
Yeah, we disagreed on this one in our picks, but it wasn't a clear disagreement. I think either of us could have went either way with this one. I backed Norwich, you've backed Ipswich. It's going to be a tight game. I don't see it being anything but that. It just depends if Norwich can sort of lift their game from the result against the Sabres last weekend.
Yeah, and they are on the road, so that'll be an interesting one coming forward. Okay, so that is our review. No dummy this week. Nobody did anything stupid. So we'll end it there. This has been Britball with the Breens, and if you fancy getting in touch, let us know. Thank you.